And this does not just happen in top 100 websites. If you visit the top 2000 global website, you could see the same pattern happens again and again. Therefore, we could conclude that the UK website is more tangled than the Chinese website. And also, there is more privacy intrusion in the UK. What we've done so far is about Alexa Top 2000 global website, and we wonder whether real users follow the same pattern. So we do the weekly data collection from 16 real users who located in the UK and China from January 2018 to January 2019. And we found that, in general, UK users will have more privacy laws than Chinese users. When we look across different users, there are some heavier users who visited hundreds of first-party websites in each week, but also some light users only visit fewer than 50 first-party websites. And the more websites they visited in each week, the more containers they will require. So imagine there are two users, one of them from China and another one from UK. Both of them have similar browsing pattern or similar number of first-party websites they visited. And in such a case, the UK one will need more containers than the Chinese user. So we conclude that if user browsing more websites, we will need more containers to maintain our privacy. But if the users have the same level of browsing, the users in China will need fewer containers. Then we move to the next question, whether different countries have different tangle factors. By the time of submission, we collect data from 124 users in 25 countries, but now we update it to 577 users across 65 countries. Here we show the bar graph across 65 countries, and each bar represents the average number of third-party trackers per first-party website in each country. And then we draw the red line represent the average number of first parties that could be placed in each country. So the more websites could be placed together, the lower tangle factor it would be. Therefore, we could see that the websites on the right-hand side normally have a fewer number of third parties, but also the lower tangle factors. So when we compare these two measurements, we could see this kind of websites have a lower privacy risk. But we should also learn that some countries like Korea, it has a lower number of third parties, but the interconnection across different first parties is really high. In the last section, we will talk about the approaches to decrease our tangle factors, which would be the most effective solution after comparing different privacy measures. Here we present three methods to decrease the interconnections. And firstly, let's start from the ad blockers. If we're talking about the online privacy, one of the common solutions is to install the ad blocker extension on the browser. Here we select four popular ad blockers, the uBlock, AdBlocker Plus, Q3, and AdGuide, and compare their reduction performance. Firstly, the blue bar shows the number of third parties if a UK user visits top 500 websites. And after the installation, we will see a great reduction in the number of third parties in each bar. And among those, the uBlock has the best reduction performance, which is over 60%. Then, if we look at the number of tangle factor, or we see the number of containers they required, and after the installation, they also have the reduction in the number of containers. However, it's not as obvious as the previous one. So we compare the reductions in the number of containers as well as third parties. So uBlock has the best performance in both tangle factor and the third-party quantity. But also we notice that the reduction in tangle factor is not as high compared to the decline in the number of third parties. And then the second one is to create containers for unconnected categories. But how to determine whether categories are unconnected? First, we pick up the largest container when visiting top 500 website, and we show the number of first parties that could be placed in this container when they are loading from China and UK. And if websites are loaded from UK, we also compare it under the installation of 4 ad blockers. For Chinese users, we see 94 first parties could be placed in this container. And if this largest container can offer a larger number of websites, it means the user would have less interconnectivity. So the smaller number are not good as the larger ones. Here we see Chinese users have the larger number, but after the installation of ad blockers in the UK, the number is increasing for UK users. And after the installation of uBlock, it increased from 61 to 112, which is larger than the Chinese users. So that is to say, the ad blockers could make some tangled website to be untangled. Apart from that, when we look at the numbers across different categories, the computer and regional categories have more websites could be placed with others. That is to say, they are more easily to coexist with other categories, so we call them unconnected categories. Since they have fewer interconnections, they could be picked up and placed together. And then we separate the websites like news website or health website to be independent. In that case, we could decrease the tangle factor for specific users. And the last method, but the most effective method, is to remove the most common subparties. Now, let's back to the first example. And here are 2 subparties that sharing the data across 3 different first parties. We would like to remove those and to confirm there have only one third party left that's sharing the data across different first parties. According to the removal of top third parties, there are some interconnections across different first parties are disappeared. And after that, only one interconnections are connected between Argos and Twitter. In such a case, we could redraw the first-party interconnection graph, as well as coloring the first-party nodes. And based on the coloring, we could decrease our tangle factor, or within the number of required containers, from 3 to 2. That's the way we decrease our interconnection based on the removal of most common subparties. Here we show the decrease in the number of tangle factor as removing top subparties from our browsing history. The initial requirement of containers for UK users when they're visiting top 500 websites is 408, and for Chinese users is 227. Here we also display the coloring and assignment of containers here. It uses different colors for different containers, and all the first-party nodes in the outer circle are isolated and can most be put into one single container. And other nodes in the center of the graph are all tangled with each other. Then, as we remove top 30 third parties, a lot of first party would migrate from the center to the edge, becoming isolated nodes which can then be placed into the larger common container. Therefore, the number of required containers for UK users will be dropped to 40, and for Chinese users, it's only 8. So from the dramatic decline, we could say that blocking common subparties from our browsing histories will be the most effective way for users to decrease their interconnections. In conclusion, this paper aimed to provide a new metric called Tangled factor to measure the interconnectedness of third-party cookie ecosystems. Also, it could understand the increasing tangled browsing histories and highlight the privacy risk of the website interconnections. And lastly, the removing of top third-party trackers will be the most effective way for users if they wish to decrease the tangle factors. That's all for today's presentation. Thanks for your listening. If you have further questions or feedback, please Twitter us or email us. And we also place the link of our extension here, which is tiny.cc/lightning-chrome-plugin. Thanks.